At least 30 seconds.
It was a long one, and it was basically what secured them to fight.
Ooh.
So we are going to Sky Temple. I actually like the way that L5 is playing around Mighty. They're avoiding the team fights, the combos of the stitches we saw. They want a bigger map. They want to be able to use the Falstead pick potentially that I think they will actually bring to the table and we go into the second game if the draft calls for it. So everything that L5 is doing tonight reminds me of the old L5, and it is warranting an Eastern Clash spot so far.
And also, they've been putting in so much time into all those practices. SDE playing 12 hours of game every single day. That's a lot of effort, if you tell me. Let's go into Sky Temple, game number 2. The draft started. This one's going to be a little bit different, as this time Mighty will be first banning and first picking. Okay. See, oftentimes when they first banned it, they banned Stitches oftentimes, but of course, there's Illidan. They really highly prioritize, but the question will be, do they also want to ban Falstead later on, or do they want to take it from the beginning? We're going back to the beginning of phase number 1 HGC here.
Well, they could go ahead and grab the Tastar. Ariel is going to be the pick here, however, because Ariel is the one that empowers the hyper carries like I was talking about before in this meta. That's why she's the strongest support, because she has more consistent healing. When you are building a draft around that one hero that does massive damage, usually the Vala, the Illidan, or the Genji, then you want to have the healing that provides it. So it's like Ariel provides a lot of healing, and that empowers the DPS. But the DPS empowers Ariel's hope because of how it how the crown and everything works to build that hope. So I know everyone watching knows exactly what I'm talking about. We've all seen the crazy Ariel carry plays on even Sniper's Gul'dan, for example. And then Malthael actually first rotation here for L5. An unusual pick given his nerf is on this current patch. We are on the Stukov patch, and this is not a map that he's known for doing a lot to the objective. It's just going to be, I guess, for the solo lane that they want to prioritize him so highly.
And with Avatar's Hat, it's going to be a lot more power, even with the nerfs to his trait and the heroic coming in. He's still a very solid solo laner with the sustain. There's not much heroes that actually can solo compete on the top lane oftentimes. So Malthael will be the pick, and Mighty seems to be, there it is.
The Trinity, the full Trinity in effect. So this is something that L5 actually played more than any other team. And when you look back at the mid-season brawl, actually, it was their go-to. And Fnatic actually figured it out. The rest of the European teams realized how to deal with this composition, and it's to get early picks, or it's to avoid fighting, is to use globals. That's why Falstead is so used in Europe still. As we were saying, Black and Fnatic are the teams that use Falstead the best, but I feel like L5 can draft around this now. They already have one global with the Abathur, and they can potentially take Falstead too. It's not out of the question. It's just so odd to prioritize this and to build into this when you're playing against the team that's so known at playing to play the Vala. You're basically saying, I know you're better at me than this, but I'm going to use it so that you can't. But also you know how to beat it, and it's the comp that this team knows in Korea more than anyone else. So why play that against the team that's so experienced with this? Feels like a risky pick, a risky setup.
Mighty, they're thinking right now, do they want to ban Tyrael because L5 may take it, but if they take it for themselves, that would actually counter hard against Malthael. But I don't think L5 is going to let that happen, so there's the ban onto Tyrael. Which means that Malthael can come in anytime and just burst down all the tanks and all the backline. We saw Rich diving in so much, doing tons of damage and actually carrying the fight 3v1, 4v1 actually coming in. Even with the nerf, Malthael is still pretty strong as a hero.
He's a magician, man. He makes people disappear.
That's right. He rips souls.
Rips them out. And the team fighting potential is definitely really strong on the side of L5 as a result. He won't have the same protection, the same armor. This has to be a 5th pick Malfurion, right? I'm not really sure what else they could take here. They want to have the longer sustained healing. Sure, it would be nice to have the Uther heals for Greymane, and also to have the Divine Shields for Greymane, but I think Malfurion is going to be the longer sustained healing, the longer fights that they have to beat Vala with. The burst that Uther gives and empowers Greymane with could be how they kill Vala early, but Mighty is actually going to pick up the fall set. I really like this L5 wanted to deny globals, that's why they took the Tahaka away, but Mighty will be bringing that Falstad in now. So they're not all in on the Vala. They have a second DPS and they have split push potential.
And Joker going back to his old favorite Muradin. Such a solid tank, and with the Vala Trinity, you will be getting those heals coming out and the shields coming out from Tassadar. Along with a lot of damage, and if you have the global now with Falstad, I think that's a perfect setup in L5. It's just going to finish up with Uther as their support, which may actually lack them in sustain when Marthiel's off the heroic time though.
So that's the Uther pick here is going to be for that going back into the hyper carry mentality for Greymane or Malthael in these team fights. They'll have the Abathur clones for Greymane as well, so they need to kill Vala early in the fight. If they can do that, they can win the team fights, they can win the game. It's going to be very difficult to do so. That's part of the reason why the Stitches pick comes in. Looking for those hooks, looking for those picks. But guys, we're going into game number 2. All L5 needs is one more win. If they can do that, they are going to the Eastern Clash, and they're looking to do it here on Sky Temple. Their map pick. Let's jump into it. All right, Team Mighty in blue. Joker on Muradin, BDG on Vala, Good on Tassadar, Nasong on Oriel, and Magi on Falstad.
And in red, L5. Polygon on Stitches, SCSC on Greymane, Jungha on Marthael, SDE on Abathur, and Swai on Uther.
All right, Psystorm build again here for Tassadar, by the way. It's becoming the go-to. Looks like Joker not 100% sure what he wants for his level 1. Maybe he was going to lock it in if he hit that Storm Bolt. Locks it in anyways, perfect Storm. He's like, if I'm going to hit this, I'll lock it in and get the first stack. If not, maybe I play third wind.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But he missed it and still took it. Rip.
It's all right. He has the sustain. I don't think he needs a third wind here.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. He has the double support, of course.
The solo matchup will be very tough for Marthael actually because of the range, but if Magi is on to the other side just like this and gets
I don't know how this happened, but this should never happen. He actually just died solo because he allowed Jungha to get into range. If you auto attack Falstad one time in that lane in the matchup, if there's no support, you can get the solo kill as we just saw. I don't know how that happened. You have to play very passively as Falstad, and I wouldn't necessarily agree with you on it being a tough lane for Malthael, but if played correctly, this should never happen. What just happened to Magi there, so a bit of a mistake there in the solo lane, and it's going to cost them big. Going to give first blood to L5.
And with the sustain, the Trinity will be working already. This wall is pretty much damaged, and Abathur had already onto the tower there. And with the first kill, of course, L5 got a little bit more soak, but Magi just had to use the flight. And just to kill the EXP there, going to L5.
Malthael's sound effects are so perfect, by the way. He actually terrifies me. I watch this and I'm like, oh, don't hit that false tap with the E, please! Yeah, he has the Abathur hat too, which is part of how he was able to get that kill up there.
You can also solo tempo pretty well with the trait coming in. Of course, the trait was nerfed a little bit, but still very strong.
Yeah. I think the biggest nerf is definitely to his heroic, but the Tormented Souls is still very powerful. He just doesn't have as much armor as he did before, so if he has protection, in this case the Uther, he could definitely just smash the team fight when it comes down to it. Well, there's a lot of sustained healing on the side of Mighty though, and with squishy heroes like Vala, he's not going to get as much value with his trait. But we'll see how the fighting goes. So far, we haven't really seen a team fight yet. These teams are actually just both going to kind of agree to trade temples 1-for-1. And this is actually a slight advantage to Mighty because they got a lot done in the mid lane at the same time. The ball is completely down now.
Yep, and also they are going in aggressive and trying to take the cam, and L5 Uther is still up there, so I don't think they can contest at all. They will take a long time for them to actually... Can they stall some time? I don't think so. Polygon does not have the healing, so he has to back out. And actually gets caught too.
Oh, they are making this happen.
And SCSC barely gets healed with their armor, barely enough to survive that too.
They're just making this team comp work so well. They're fighting the fights they need to. They're forcing fights. L5 doesn't want to fight pre-10 because they don't have the Abathur clone. They don't have potentially could be go for the throat here. They don't have that. They don't have the ability to just take these massive team fights, get the picks they're looking for. Look for the picks on the ball, for example. So she's just allowed to do so much. And if she's not doing it in a team fight, she's doing it in a pushing lane. They're winning the lanes. The Siege Giant camp is not even dealt with. It's still there. It's adding extra DPS to this. L5 is just letting this game get taken away from them. And they're not even dealing with this at all. Not even slightly.
With those
not
kills,
even a little bit.
L5 was really off guard, and they had to be really so much more careful. They had to be careful a lot more than what they just showed us. And even with the Avatar, that was not enough. Mighty really making this push, which they want to from the beginning. They want to get that second temple, the entire fort, no fountain.
Yeah, this is more. Sure, they got the top push there, but this is more important. The fountain, as you said, for the next temple phase is way more important than the top fort, which isn't going to be that significant. It's not a boss lane, and your opponent has Falstad, so it doesn't really matter. In fact, you kind of made it easier for Falstad to soak lane now against Maltail because you killed that fort. So I think that Mighty is very happy with this trade. They grab the Siege Giant camp, and they're actually going to soak for a little bit more before they head into that temple phase. They want to try to get 10 here. Falstad could fly in as he gets the last soaking. Might even deal with that top push. That's the one thing that Mighty does not have, is actually control of the top lane for the mercenary camp. So that's something they're going to go for now.
Spots this, and L5, it's going to take some time. He's gets the stun to survive, misses the hook. And L5 Mighty actually takes the safe route and goes around. Seems like they want to actually give this to L5 for now.
That's the safer choice because Joker just simply isn't there. He's down in the bot lane, taking the temple. But again, when you look at this and you wonder which one of these two things is stronger? This mercenary camp that will bruise just slightly the first cannon tower and it's cleared immediately, or this split pressure that's going directly towards the keep and these shots that were fired by the temple? The answer is obvious. Mighty gets the better trade yet again. L5 did this because they were afraid they would lose the temple. They didn't have the sustain from the healing fountain. They just decided to give it up and look for something else because they knew that Mighty would also have 10 first. But unfortunately, this is yet another win for Mighty because they didn't clear the bot camp. And now Mighty with the 10 advantage is going to look for this boss. So well played. It is scouted, but what can L5 even hope to do here? There's nothing they can do.
Nice. Compared to game number 1, which they could not snowball too hard, they are just pushing this snowball as big as they can get here. After level 10, taking the boss, which bottom lane seems to be the most pushed one also. And I think going for the maximum push here will be more helpful to them, and which exactly what they're looking for. L5 will try to defend, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be very tough, even after hitting level 10.
They just have so much siege pressure now, and they have so much sustain, and it is going to be go for the throat, as I thought was going to be the case. You want to try to rip Bala down, get the reset there, but I
think it's more for the clone coming in with the Grey Mane, with the double Grey Mane burst damage. I think they can go for the kill.
That's the idea for sure.
Stitch is actually holding in for now.
So they use the clone here to push this back. They save the keep and actually nearly get a pick on the Magi. Could actually respect this though, and Malthael does burn down bosses quite quickly. So this ends up being okay. It would have been disastrous if they lost that keep this early into the game, and we're talking 6:30 that they defended that boss push. Mighty still has a nice advantage, but if L5 keeps their keeps alive, they keep their hopes alive in this game. That's why I always say, you know, the game isn't over till you lose a keep. When you lose the keep, it's basically over. So they definitely can turn this around. And this is just based off good control and good awareness by Mighty, making all the right decisions with their Vala Trinity, right? They're pushing these lanes in, and L5 struggle to deal with that. This is a game where we're 1-1 in kills, but Mighty still has the massive structurally, the massive objective advantage. They were always able to control the shrines.
But they had the opportunity to really snowball that harder to push. Actually, maybe getting down the top fort could have been possible if they were going to lose the boss just like that. They couldn't really get any picks. When they had the upper hand, L5 just hit level 10. If you knew that timing was coming, maybe going to other lanes, soak for more EXP to snowball. L5 actually caught up a lot because of that boss. That's
true. And the boss didn't really, like, they wanted to get the keep, but L5 dealt with it so well, and they used the clone there. So Mighty just could not find what they were looking for. So yeah, I have to agree. Like, it could have been better for them, for sure. They took a risk, it didn't pay off. Hooligan is going to be the first target here. Actually commits to the Bile, actually, since he was targeted down there. I think that's part of the reason why he chose it, to help him escape. Didn't need it, though. Okay, he's going to use it now.
To engage, and after...
Not the best Bile we've ever seen. They just want to control this temple, it looks like, but they're still trading 1-for-1. Falstad's up in the top lane.
But they want to go all in. Jungha looking for the engage. He gets stunned, has the Divine Shield, and here's the engage coming out. There's a Aegis coming in, and there's a first kill onto Ariel. L5 doing the perfect aggro plays.
Could have been an amazing gust opportunity there actually for Magi, but he joins the party late. Still though, they have the better sustained fight with the Ariel pick. She's down, sure, but the fight is going in their favor. The Archon adding just enough extra damage, and L5 stuck around a little bit too long in that fight for sure. And there was a lot of extra soaking going on for Maya. They had the level 13 advantage. Nothing huge for them at level 13. It's not like they have the game-breaking talents here, but still. Now another edge given yet again to Mighty to get the final shot to the temple. They're just going to shoot directly into this keep. The next boss, if they take it, will pretty much guarantee them that keep. But L5 shows signs of life in that last exchange. Having the first pick off there, the positioning was not very good for Ariel, even though she had a decent Aegis there. L5 could have snowballed that. The Divine Shield was used to protect Malthael, as we knew was going to be the case, so that you could get the amazing Tormented Souls, but kind of feels like you could see the nerf a little bit in action. Doesn't feel like it's as strong as it was before.
Yeah, that also, along with probably one of the worst team fights we've seen coming out from L5 so far. That was very poorly engaged, and also their positioning was very off. They had to either commit just one and try to retreat, actually not even make the engagement because they were losing the fight from before. And Malthael could not really get the perfect angle to dive in to actually get the maximum off of versus 3 or versus 4 of them. They actually committed all in and ended up losing the fight. Mighty was pushing it hard even from the beginning because they were controlling the temple and off to the side at the same time. The positioning fight was won by Mighty from the start.
I think you really just have to, with L5, when things go wrong, you have to let the fight go. You have to walk away because you need to burst down either the Ariel, which they did there, but it was too late because they put all the resources into it, or the Vala. And if you can't do that, you have to just walk away from the fight because the healing is going to come out. Tassadar has so much extra sustain. Even if Ariel's dead, you've only gotten rid of half of the healing there, half of the protection, which gives the lifesteal to Vala. And which what we saw in that fight. Archon as well giving some extra damage. Tassadar is just so powerful with the composition that they've given to Mighty. And even though they're so good against this and they're the ones that really revolutionized how the Vala Trinity was played in Korea, they still are struggling. 16's going to go over to Mighty now. This boss is a scary thing for it to lose now. If L5 actually doesn't scout this, then they lose the boss, then that's going to be a dead keep for sure. And all the while, Falstad is still getting the extra split soak in the top lane. Pushing them, that's why they have that 16 advantage so significantly.
They will get the bottom fort, and just will be a one trade, and L5 still has a lot more options to come back. They have the structures to come back, so Mighty still has to be careful, of course.
Ooh,
this has to be...
This is greedy, but what they're trying to do is force L5 to lose the top temple. So they're trying to basically say, all right, we're going to get this keep no matter what, but we were greedier than that. We're going to make it look like we're going to take the boss to force you off the temple so we can get more shots. Wasn't successful, actually. Did not work out. L5 did not take the bait. They scouted it early. But now they're going to just directly invade it. Magi actually needs to use Gust to escape. Well done.
Yeah, of course, Greymane with the hat coming in, you will be looking for the kill. Had to use the Gust, but if you got the keep, and if your camp is pushing and making L5 rotation all the way down there, make Hat taking the safe temple, and you can also snowball that lead a little bit more. Seems like Falstad wants to go top now and make the huge rotation down instead. Mighty being a little bit indecisive. Maybe they're trying to go for boss here.
I feel like L5 should have been more aggressive in this moment, right? They don't have a global, which makes
either
it very
team
difficult.
or both teams at the same time.
Yeah, like I feel like they don't have a global, so it makes it difficult to do so, but they basically just gave the keep away for free. And then almost lost the end of that second temple. If we hadn't seen that sick rotation in by Greymane, they would have basically lost both. So now they're a keep down, and that's when things start to get a lot tougher, especially when you have Falstad who split soak top, eventually going to start threatening the top keep wall. And they have so much boss control with the Falstad pick as well. L5 just doesn't really have much to actually control that boss pit. So that's another scary thing. And the boss now goes directly to 4 with the keep already dead.
Cool
This is actually a nice trade here for Jungha.
There's hook on Tassadar. Actually has to use the the Archon too, because the shift seemed like it was down, and Good still taking so much damage. Has to use the Aegis too. Gets blown up regardless.
Okay, this is it. Magi comes in, perhaps a bit too late. Nice Gust there, isolates two, but gets
hook.
hooked.
Is real.
The hook was so good there. Gets a second one, and Nasong goes down. Sick plays here for L5. They are making this happen in the late game. And now if they get this keep, they can neutralize the advantage that Mighty had early on. The double hooks here with the Abathur clone on Stitches is what brings them back into this game. They're going to get the keep. If they get more picks, they might be able to win the game. This is super greedy by Joker. He wants to save this keep. He got the massive 4-man stun.
Another hook there.
He's going to die for it, though.
He will die for even the W. He
So
heals it for
greedy.
a while, but that's going to be key for sure.
That might be game. He was so greedy there. They're going to walk away, though. They're not going to take the risk to try to go core here. So greedy.
They have the clones. If they want to go a little bit more aggressive, they can go camp and the boss together on their back rotation. Seems like they're just hearting home now. They got the Mighty. Oh my. Those hooks were really good. It was exactly timed at on the path of retreat for them, but those hooks made the game-changing hooks for L5, but they were a little bit aggressive. Mighty came out the doors. They should have been inside, trying to defend a little bit.
Well,
oh my.
L5 does not capitalize on this advantage as well as I think they could have. Because what you said about the boss was so true. I think they definitely could have taken it. I think like MVP Black takes the boss 100%,
yes.
right? MVP Black is so smart and so quick on rotations like this. L5 feels like without Noblesse in the comms, shot calling, they don't make the decision. And now, surprised is Mighty to find that the boss still stands. They head over, they look to take it because they saw everyone rotated up top, and L5 doesn't have global. Sure, they have Abathur, but it's not the same kind of global, right? They can't come in and engage a fight. Now they waste the clone. So SDE's clone here not going to do anything. Mighty isn't going to try to grab the boss. They're playing patiently. This means that Stitches is getting free shot stun up here at the top temple. I feel like Mighty needs to be decisive right now. They need to decide if they want to take this boss or not, because if they just get the temple for free, they could lose that second keep.
But this lane pressure is huge. Even though Magi has that wave clear, cannot use it all the time to actually clear this wave. And this temple has been doing tons of damage and may actually finish off this keep too with the camps pushing.
So 5v4, they didn't take the boss, they didn't take the temple away. So L5 gets this top keep for free. This should not have happened. Mighty was indecisive and it's going to cost them big now. L5 takes this camp, stealing it away, and it's going to go directly towards the core. The catapults are spawning with the next minion wave in the top lane, and I mean, they have 20, sure, so maybe that's why Mighty didn't want to take the boss, but I feel like they needed the boss at least for counter pressure, because Falstad isn't able to accomplish anything against the massive pressure we saw. Now L5 is in position with the core under attack here to actually potentially just go ahead and grab this boss.
The thing is, L5 could have went for boss when they had, the moment they had 20, but instead they went for the camp because they had the top lane just pushing. Now they will have the late pressure, but now they have the Epic Mount. Mighty, they also can turn this around. It's a lot more pressure and threat to L5 actually now that they have Epic Mount. There's a Gust, there's the Crystal Ages, so L5 does not really commit all the way into the boss right now.
Yeah, well, they can't now, but they certainly could have looked to do so. They're scared of the Falstad fly-in and the Gust just taking the boss away from them. But, I mean, the posturing is definitely there. Now it's really risky because you're on the same talent tier as your opponent. You already have the top lane pressure lead, so why force it? Joker just went. The reason why Joker did that, by the way, is to clear the Toxic Nest. He wanted to just basically take vision away. So he's not like starting the boss or anything. So that's actually a really smart move. Because now L5 can't know for sure, so he did it again. He wants to make sure L5 doesn't know, doesn't have vision if Mighty is starting the boss or not. So this is what you do as a tank, actually. Vision control is so important. And Joker's been good at it since 2014, man. So showing it yet again here. Sorry, 2015, I should say.
Yeah, 2015. I was about to say 2014, even before the game was released.
He was like really good. Like he was testing in the alpha when it was Blizzard All-Stars, man. He knew. Like he was so good at vision control back then.
This could be the last tempo phase, though. Double tempo phase on top. In the middle, Joker dives in onto Stitches for now. Focusing seems to be on him, but not too much resources actually used.
Yeah, they're just patient here. They wanted to force a Divine Shield with that move, but
there's a clone from SDE already used, though. That's one big tool.
Yeah, that's a problem. Because now L5 is not going to have the clone for the real fight here. They're going to try to trade temples, and they do have the structure lead. So I feel like Mighty should try to take this 5v4 fight because the clone isn't available. I think that's what they need to do right now.
Greyman's actually pushing the lane.
He's backdooring a little bit.
They want to pressure a little bit. Does not spot exactly, though.
I think they, Mighty has to take this fight. They are going in. False Dead can come in at any time. Okay, here's the Divine Shield. This is it now or never for Mighty. They have to win this fight to win this game. They have good. Twilight Archons pop. They get the pick on the Stitches. This is their opportunity.
My goodness. Greyman was away for the entire time. L5 cannot win this any.
Yeah, they're gonna try. They're just gonna try to hit the core here,
There's
but with
no way.
with only having 2 members, there's no way. The catapults are hitting this. Jungle's looking for the wave clear, but it's not gonna happen.
That was the biggest throw.
Big throws, man.
Biggest throw of L5 so far.
L5 had a good plan. They wanted to backdoor the core. They had an idea, and it just was countered. Mighty realized very quickly exactly what was going to happen, went to take the fight, took the temples away, and Swoy, obviously, he can't even do this. He's basically just prolonging the Twilight Archon. His redemption, I believe, is already used, so he's just going to die. There's catapult pressure here, now hitting the core directly. Oh, this is
Ooh,
catch on the Jungle. That's going to be
game.
basically game. He's trying to use the armor to survive.
Kessler dies top, though, and lost to Uther?
Yeah.
But they can still go for core regardless.
Don't know what happened up there. Well, I guess we'll never know because there were a lot of crazy things happening. But yeah, the game is over. Mighty is going to bring themselves back into this. It was definitely a game that L5 turned around and then basically just messed up the late game on. Mighty called the bluff there. Saw that SDE was looking for the backdoor there with the Abathur and the Greymane backdoor, but got called out. Now they're just trying to buy time here with the Bile, but the core is going down. It would be a miracle defense if they stop this attack now. Good Aegis. They do get the kill onto Uther, though. We'll just heal up Hooligan, but it's not going to stop the DPS onto this core.
Yep,
GG,
Boggy.
very low, very low.
That's going to be GG. And Mighty catching L5, bringing back into the series 1-1 now. And that was the biggest throw of L5. I don't think I've ever seen that kind of throw coming out from L5. I'm very, very disappointed and sad to be actually watching that at the same time. But Mighty just caught the chance. They were like, okay, oh, Greyman's not here, so let's go in.
Well, I think that when you identify that a hero is missing like that, and you think, okay, I want to smash this, it looks like, oh, this is so stupid. Oh, why would they do that? You know, like, that's probably what a lot of people are thinking. I think it was a good plan if they were able to hide Greymane, but as you pointed out very definitely, they saw Greymane immediately with the minion wave because he didn't hide in the bush at first, and then they were like, basically like, I hope they didn't see us, but clearly they saw him, right? So the plan was cool. I just feel like it was wholly unnecessary.
Yep.
Why not just trade temples 1-for-1, take the 5v5 fight once the clone is back up, because they SDE used the clone early, so it was going to be a difficult 5v5 fight to take. But if you just take the even fight, you're ahead in structures. You have 2 keeps left, they only have 1. So if you get the even temple, then you basically start eating the core. You have a massive advantage. There was like no reason to take the risk there, I feel like, which was what the problem was. But I forgot, we're going to a break. We're not going to the next game yet, sadly. So hang on for a few minutes, guys, and we'll go into game number 3. See you then. Welcome back, everybody, to HGC Korea. We have a little bit of an update, actually, that we were told incorrectly about the scores. The winner of this match, period, because of the 3-0 that Tempest gets by the forfeit of RRR, will advance. So no longer is it just one life left for Mighty. If they win the series, period, they will advance. So winner of this just goes on no matter what. So
yes,
sorry for the misinformation earlier.
Yeah, along with Tempest and Black. So the win, of course, in game number 2, I think, from the L5, not really being decisive because they do not have a dedicated shot caller. It's like having multiple captains on a ship. And your ship will be just like in game number 2, the ending.
It's rocky.
Yes.
It's a rocky voyage if you don't have the shot callers, as you said. And we have to be critical of SDE's clone timings as well, using his clone too early. Maybe that was the reason why they panicked and they thought they needed to backdoor to win the game there, is because they knew that winning a fight without the clone was going to be difficult. They didn't have like a massive amount of sustain because they had Burst Heal on Uther, so they couldn't like buy time in the team fight to then get a second clone. That was pretty unreasonable. So I think SD kind of threw that game for them in a way, and then they decided to make the wrong choice instead of avoiding the fights there. They definitely could have won that game, and most would have argued should have. It was a throw, as they say. That's the official esports term for a situation like that. Look it up in the esports manual. It's there.
Yes, it's there. It's there in the Urban Dictionary too, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. We
have a lot of good esports terms like this, and this is just one of them.
Yep, and Mighty just took the chance, and they knew the clone was already gone, and they saw Greymane for a slight moment, and they just started the team fight just like that, and that's how you... And even Jung-ah, by that time, he was caught by the mid lane bush. He knew the game was over, basically. But